Donald Trump made a statement about U.S. aid, but Julius Malema wasn't having it. In a fiery response, the South African leader didn't hold back, calling out what he sees as arrogance and hypocrisy. What exactly did Malema say, and why is it making waves? Let's break it down. Julius Malema has strongly responded to Donald Trump's threat to cut foreign aid and impose sanctions on South Africa. Trump made this threat in reaction to South Africa's decision to expropriate land without compensation, an effort to correct historical racial inequalities. Malema condemned Trump's statement, calling it an insult to South Africa's sovereignty and a reminder of how foreign aid is often used as a tool to control African nations. Malema made it clear that South Africa will not be intimidated by external pressures. The country is determined to reclaim land through constitutional amendments and will not bow to threats from the U.S. or any other foreign power. He criticized Trump's misunderstanding of the expropriation law, stating that it is a watered-down version of what his party, the EFF, has been advocating for. According to Malema, the EFF firmly supports land expropriation without compensation, and they will not compromise on this policy. He emphasized the need for South Africa to build a self-sufficient economy by strengthening its agricultural and industrial sectors rather than relying on Western aid. He also advocated for stronger trade relationships with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and other BRICS countries, nations that do not use foreign policy to control or bully others. Malema also expressed disappointment that the current expropriation law still allows compensation under certain conditions and limits land redistribution to public interest purposes. He stressed that the goal should be to return land to the landless so they can contribute to their own sustainability and the nation's economic growth.
Trump, who has issued a threat to cut foreign aid to South Africa and impose sanctions on South Africa for adopting legislation that permits the expropriation of land without compensation and implementing policies that addresses historical race-based inequalities in our country. The statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy as an instrument to impose their will or bully other nations into submission. The EFF policy is the expropriation of land without compensation, and we make no apology about it. It's actually our first non-negotiable cardinal pillar. And the Expropriation Act, as signed now recently by the President, is nowhere closer to that. If anything, it tries to justify the compensation, that properties can be expropriated, land can be expropriated, but there should be compensation, and condition of expropriating such is that there should be, expropriation should be in the interest of the public, for public use and public interest. So it has watered down what we have been asking for, because ours was a complete no-no on the compensation, but equally complete no-no into exclusive excluding the whole thing to public interest and public purpose. Because we want to take land and give to the landless so that they can produce for their own sustainability, but for the sustainability of South Africa and the world at large.
President-elect Donald Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. You are the first president since Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive terms. Republicans now have control of the House and the Senate.
Right.
What do you plan to accomplish in your first 100 days in office?
Well, we're going to do something with the border, and very strong, very powerful. That'll be our first signal, and a first signal to America that we're not playing games. We have people coming in by the millions, as you know, and a lot of people shouldn't be here. Most of them shouldn't be here, but we have jails being emptied into our country. We have mental institutions from all over the world being emptied into our country. So we'll be doing that. We're going to be extending within that period, or as soon as we can, the Trump tax cuts, because, you know, they're coming due and they're very substantial for people. And it would be very, I think it will anger a lot of people, frankly, if we don't get an extension of that. That's what led us to one of the greatest economies ever. And those two things are going to be very vital, very important. We're going to be focusing on crime in the cities, and we'll work with Democrat governors. Most of them are, as you know, if you look at the 25 worst places, they're just about all Democrat-controlled cities and states. And we're going to be working with Democrat governors and Democrat mayors. And I look forward to doing it, but we have to do something about crime, and mostly in our cities. And we're going to have a lot of other things. We'll be working on nominations. We're going to still be working on some nominations. I think they're going very well. We have, for the most part, I think they're going extremely well. It looks like Peter's doing well now. I mean, people were a little bit concerned. He's a young guy with a tremendous track record, actually. He went to Princeton and went to Harvard. He was a good student at both, but he loves the military, and I think people are starting to see it. So we'll be working on his nomination along with a lot of others.
We are going to delve into your nominations, but since you bring him up, do you still have confidence in Pete Hegseth?
Yes, I do. I really do. He's a very smart guy. I've known him through Fox, but I've known him for a long time. And he's basically a military guy. I mean, every time I talk to him, all he wants to talk about is the military. He's a military guy. I used to kid him about it. I didn't think he would be in this position where he may be, hopefully will be Secretary of Defense. But
Let us know in the comment section what you think about all that was said. That wraps up the video for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to Insight TV, leave a thumbs up, and of course share the video. Until the next time, see you in the next video.